right, and this was the last book that I finished in February. This book is called The Art of Vanishing, a Memoir of Wanderlust. This book started out really strong for me. I was very, very into it. I mean, essentially, it's about a woman who I really related to. She was having lots of questions about her choice to be married. And I remember being her age, and I never had a wedding or anything, but we were considered common law, my partner and I. Um, and that never sat very well with me. It just didn't, it was not how I had imagined my life would be. And I'm not a very domestic person. And I think I always felt, because I was not a domestic person, that I wasn't a very good partner for him. And so, anyway, the author is going through a lot of that. And she is also writing a story about a woman who vanished, who disappeared back in the 1940, I think, 1939, 1940. But it was a woman who was also going through kind of that similar experience of um, just feeling like there had to be more to life than the whole, oh, excuse me, get married, make babies die situation that a lot of people go through. So that's really what this was about. It was examining that, and it sounds like I really wasn't sure what to expect. I kind of thought, this could go either way. Like if it just becomes kind of an angsty book full of, anyway, I don't think I'm going to last very long. But the first half of the book, I think it was actually really intriguing. Um, I felt like I really related to Barbara Follett, who is the woman that the author, whose disappearance the author is investigating. Um, I mean, like, I'm not a child prodigy, like, or I wasn't, like, Barbara Follett was. Um, but she loved literature and music and the outdoors and all those things. And those are all things that have been huge, great loves of mine as well. Um, and she kind of bucked the whole, traditional marriage and that sort of thing. But she also, in the end, ended up getting married, just like I did. And it didn't work out well, just like it didn't for me. But I didn't vanish. I didn't just like disappear and walk away from it. Um, but yeah, so here are these two women who are having this experience that I found really, really relatable. Um, I kind of started getting a little bit for me towards the end, anyway. Like the author, my partner and I moved quite early on in our relationship, which is different from theirs, but kind of moved towards having an open relationship. I feel like her relationship, she describes it as an open relationship, but that they ended up getting into, but I feel like it was more of a polyamorous situation that she had going on there, because it gets kind of complicated for her towards the end because of that. Um, but it also becomes very angsty for her, and like the last half of the book, it just kind of becomes a bit. Trying to think of like a way of saying it. It just kind of became a bit much for me. I was just kind of getting irritated and annoyed with all of her angst over this decision that she had made, and I don't know, like, I'm all for people making unconventional choices in life, um, and I'm all for people like analyzing what those choices have meant to them and how it's shaped them and that sort of stuff. But when it goes on for like 4 or 5 chapters, I don't know, it just ends up being a bit much to read about. I understand that in life we all go through those things, and those periods of time can last for a very long time. But I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, we are going through those things and we have to work through them, and that's a thing. But I don't know that it's like engaging enough for someone who isn't you to like be hauled through that for 4 or 5 chapters. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. So it kind of lost me a little bit at the end. Um, yeah, and then it was a little unsatisfying for me. And I mean, it is what it is. She disappeared. She vanished. But the ending was a little unsatisfying because she vanished. So you never actually find out like what happened to her, where. So you don't really have a satisfying ending, and well, I mean, life is like that too, right? But there's definitely a lot of surprises along the way that make the book worthwhile and worth reading. And the author is very uh, insightful, and she's definitely a very good writer. So that makes this very much worthwhile as far as I'm concerned. So I did give it 4 cups of tea. And yeah, so I do recommend it. If you are someone who is a bit eccentric and doesn't quite fit into the whole, set the set obstacle course of life, as I always think of it, where you like graduate high school, then you go to university, or you take a gap year and then you go to university, or you just get your, humdrum job, whatever, and then you get married, then you have the kids, and you get a house and a car, and then they graduate, and then you retire, and then you die. So if you are not somebody who did that, if you're not somebody who's convinced that that's the life for you, this is definitely a worthwhile read, I think. I think you'll appreciate it. Yeah, so 4 cups of tea. I think the next book that I'm going to try to tuck into is a book called The People of the Book by, I can't remember, 1 second. Yeah, so I have like a bajillion things that I have to get caught up on today, and I'm going to go do those right away while I upload all these videos that I made. I think it's hilarious. I'm going to have all of these videos where I'm wearing the same thing and I look exactly the same in the same terrible light on the same day. But that's the way it goes. I've kind of said all along that this is a project that I'm doing for me, and mostly just to keep track of my reading and that sort of thing. And I'm not going to lie, for most of this month, I wasn't even sure if I was going to keep on doing this. Like, it just seemed like an overwhelming thing to have to do. And I'm still not totally sure. I think I want to do it for at least a year, just as a project to do for a year. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep up with it or not after that. But I don't know. For now, it's interesting. Anyway, the next thing that I'm going to read, or I'm going to try to read, I always hate saying this because I feel like I say I'm going to read it and then instead I wander off and read something else. But I'm going to give this a try. It's called People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks. It says that Hannah Heath, an Australian rare book expert, has been offered the job of a lifetime: analysis and conservation of the famed Sarajevo Haggadah, rescued from Serb shelling during the Bosnian War. Priceless and beautiful, the book is one of the earliest Jewish volumes ever to be illuminated with images. When Hannah discovers a series of tiny artifacts in its ancient binding, an insect wing fragment, wine stains, salt crystals, a white hair, she begins to unlock the book's mysteries, ushering in its exquisite and atmospheric past, from its salvation back to its creation through centuries of exile and war. Sounds fascinating to me. And apparently it's inspired by a true story. And apparently Geraldine Brooks is a Pulitzer Prize winner. So there you go. March. Apparently she won a Pulitzer? Pulitzer or Pulitzer? I know, I'll never know. Prize for a book called March that I have never heard of. But anyway, so I'm gonna give this a try, and we'll see how it goes. So, happy reading.